Today we're going to be discussing Christmas, the time of year when all faiths put away their beliefs and celebrate paganism. Now, many people today, especially in the Western Hemisphere, believe that Christmas is a biblical holiday and it has something to do with celebrating the birth date of the Messiah. But this is absolutely false. There's no mention of Christmas being in the Bible at all. Neither is there a birthday given for the birth of the Messiah, Yeshua, or Jesus for those who refer to him as such. So this alone should raise questions. Why do Christians celebrate a holiday that has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible? What is this connection that they have with this day? And where does Christmas originate from if it is not in the Bible? The history of Christmas traces back to paganism. Before Europe converted to Christianity, they were pagans. They believed in many different gods. And one of the gods that they believed in was the sun god. For those who are unaware who the sun god is, it traces back to the Tower of Babel when King Nimrod, the world's first leader, rebelled against the Most High. Nimrod was born on December 25th, and after his death, he became known as the sun god throughout many different cultures with various names. Here's the backstory. According to ancient Egyptian and Babylonian traditions, Nimrod's mother, Semiramis, sometimes is referred to as the mother of Nimrod as well as his wife, and it is led to the belief that Nimrod married his own mother. Also, according to tradition, Semiramis, who rose to greatness because of Nimrod, was presented with a difficulty when Nimrod died, so instead she pronounced him to be a god so that she herself will become a goddess. The legend goes like this. After Nimrod was killed, Semiramis claimed that an evergreen tree sprouted from a tree stump, which she said indicated the entry of new life into the deceased Nimrod. Every year on the anniversary of Nimrod's birthday, which is December 25th, they will leave gifts at this evergreen tree. Even though Semiramis claimed to be a virgin, she had another son named Tammuz, who she said was the reincarnation of Nimrod. So she became known as the Virgin Mother, Holy Mother, and the Queen of Heaven, which is also mentioned in the Bible. And she was symbolized by the moon as well. So the worship of Semiramis and her child god Sun was the beginning of the Babylonian religious system we see all across the world today. So as we can see, these Christmas celebrations were around long before Yeshua was born. They trace all the way back to the Mesopotamia and revolves around the sun god who was known as Nimrod in the Bible. So how did the Europeans get a hold of this tradition? Now, if you don't know, the Romans, including Constantine, were believers of the sun god, and he was known as Apollo in Greek and Sol Invictus in Rome. In Constantine's vision, it was not Yeshua who appeared to him, but the sun god Apollo. This sun god will become synonymous with the real Son of God, Yeshua, as a way to unify all religions under the Roman Empire. Remember, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So this was done deceitfully so that believers will become tolerant of pagan culture. The truth is, Rome never fully converted to the actual faith of the Hebrews. They simply merged their previous paganism with what they called Christianity. This is the reason why majority of the holidays that Christians celebrate are not found in the Bible, but they actually trace back to pagan festivals. And this includes Christmas, which they have tried to tie back to the Messiah, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible. This holiday that Christians celebrate today was first called Saturnalia, and it was celebrated by the Romans. During this festival, which lasted maybe for about a week, the Romans were known for getting drunk, participating in orgies, and committing debauchery while exchanging gifts during the celebration. Saturnalia was dedicated to their god, Saturn. Now, who was this god, Saturn, that they were worshiping? Saturn was a god in ancient Roman religion and a character in Roman mythology. He was described as a god of time, generation, dissolution, abundance, wealth, agriculture, and liberation. In Greek, his name was known as Kronos. He was usually depicted with a harp, scythe, or a sickle. He is often depicted as devouring children. In the Bible, there was a god who was known for child sacrifice, and he went by the name of Baal. You may be surprised, but Kronos and the god of the Canaanites called Baal are related. When the Greeks had encountered the Phoenicians and the Hebrews, they identified Kronos with the god Baal Haman. Baal is the god that the Canaanites would sacrifice their children to. It is said he was introduced to Rome during the Punic Wars and the cultural exchanges between Rome and Carthage. In ancient Rome, he was identified as Saturn. All of these gods trace back to ancient Babylon. And ironically, in the north, the German barbarians celebrated the similar festival to that of the Romans and Greeks. Similar to Saturnalia, Yule was also the celebration of the winter solstice. Now remember, these Germanic tribes, who are also known as Anglo-Saxons, invaded and conquered most of the Roman Empire. They took over most of Europe. So the Christmas elements that we have today also traces back to the celebration of Yule. When the Germanic people became Christianized, they incorporated Yule into Christmas. Present-day Christmas customs and traditions such as the Yule log, Yule goat, Yule boar, Yule singing, and others have connections to the older pagan Yule traditions. And these same traditions were in honor to their god, Odin, and not the god of the Bible. Another German pagan element of Christmas is Krampus. In German folklore, Krampus was usually depicted as a man with horns and a grotesque human foot and 1 foot of a goat. He is typically covered in black hair and has a very long snake or dragon-like tongue. So after Germanic tribes' conversion to Christianity and their assimilation into Roman culture, Krampus will become the helper of St. Nicholas, who is associated with Roman Catholicism. Now, not much is known about the life of St. Nicholas, but the earliest account of Nicholas' life to have survived is the Life of St. Nicholas, written in the early 9th century by Michael the Archimandrite. However, Michael's account was nearly written 500 years after Nicholas' probable death. So it is believed that Michael had to heavily rely on older written sources and oral traditions. But interestingly, John Lendering, a Dutch historian of classical antiquity, notes that Michael does not contain a conversion narrative, which was unusual for saints' lives of the period when it was written. He argued that it is possible that Michael may have been relying on a source written before conversion narratives became popular, which would be a positive indication of that source's reliability. But he notes that many of the stories recounted by Michael the Archimandrite closely resemble stories told about the 1st century AD philosopher Apollonius of Tyana in the Life of Apollonius of Tyana, an 8-volume biography of him written in the early 3rd century by Greek writer Philostratus. Now, Christian storytellers were known to adapt older pagan legends and attribute them to Christian saints. Lendering also goes on to say that Apollonius' hometown of Tyana was not far from Myra, which St. Nicholas was the bishop of, and he contends that many popular stories about Apollonius may have become attached to St. Nicholas. Now remember, the name Apollo or Apollyon is another name for the devil in the Bible, specifically Revelation. In Revelation chapter 9, verse 11, Apollo is an angel who resides over hell. In other words, Apollo is associated with the devil, Satan. And we know that Apollo has a connection to sun god worship because when Constantine converted to Christianity, in his vision, he is said to have seen the god Apollo, in which they believed in at the time. So before Constantine converted Rome to Christianity, the god that they worshipped was Apollo, and he was associated with the sun. And the festivity they held was called Sol Invictus, which is held on the 25th of December. But later, after they became Christianized, they chose the birth date of the Son of God to be the same as their pagan tradition. So Sol Invictus, which was a festival to celebrate the birth of the sun god Sol, or Mithra, or Helios, or Apollo, was later changed to Christmas. And remember, Christian storytellers were known to adapt older pagan legends and attribute them to Christian saints. So the account of St. Nicholas may actually have been about the life of Apollonius of Tyana, and he was the leader of the cult movement who believed in the sun god Apollo, which was also associated with being the devil. Ironically, Old Nick is a name that was once used as the name of the devil. Now in the book of Revelation chapter 12, Satan is compared to a red dragon. It says, "There appeared a wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon," in Revelation 12 verse 3. And in 12 verse 9 it says, "The great dragon was casted out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world." It just so happens that Santa also appears to be covered in red. Another thing is that we know Satan wants to be like the Most High, as it says in Isaiah chapter 14. But think about the attributes that we also give to Santa. Remember, in folklore tradition, when the pagans had assimilated into Christian culture, St. Nicholas was accompanied by Krampus, who was known as the devil. Now, on the night before the feast of St. Nicholas, which was December 6th, St. Nicholas would reward the well-behaved children with gifts, while Krampus, the devil, would punish them badly. But in the Bible, who is it that has the power to reward good behavior and punish people who are evil? That is none other than the Most High, Yahuwah.
Dutch version of St. Nicholas, now called Sinterklaas, took on a dual role as both a benevolent gift giver and a moral enforcer. His role was clear: reward the good and punish the bad. Sinterklaas's role was closer to that of a judge of morality. Children who displayed virtues like obedience, respect, and generosity would be rewarded with gifts and sweets. Those who were disobedient, disrespectful, or lazy were at risk of receiving something far less appealing: a lump of coal, a switch, a bundle of sticks. In earlier versions of the Sinterklaas story, Sinterklaas himself could be seen as a strict, all-seeing judge of children's behavior, much like the all-knowing Santa Claus concept that later developed in America.
So originally, St. Nicholas was the rewarder of good behavior, while Krampus, the devil, was the punisher of those who behaved badly. But over time, they morphed into one. Now, Sinterklaas, or Santa Claus, was attributed with both of these qualities. He became the judge of good behavior and bad behavior, like the Most High in the Bible. And then over time, it became morally acceptable for Christians to lie on the day of this festivity. Now, in the Bible, it is not acceptable to lie at all. In fact, the father of all lies is the devil. So why do we think lying to our children would do good by them in any sense? But in this twisted tradition, we lie to our children and say that it is Santa who is delivering them gifts, when we know that that is not the truth. And then when they get older, they're going to discover that this was a lie. And then they're going to believe that they should also participate in the lie. This is a twisted tradition that the Bible does not support at all. Christmas is a worldly tradition that unbelievers partake in as well as believers. It is not solely about Christ, which is why those who don't even believe in him partake in this festivity. Most of the secular world doesn't believe in God, yet they still love to participate in this unbiblical day of celebration and practice the same yearly customs as believers who think they're worshiping God. That should be a red flag.
Every Christmas, something magical happens.
Dear Santa.
When a kid sends a letter to Santa. But Liam
To Santa.
is a crappy speller.
This looks like fun.
Oh, that's putrid.
Thank you.
What do you want?
You summoned me.
Not what I expected.
What'd you expect?
In the movies, the reindeer usually have the antlers, not you.
Kid, are you high? I'm ready for dinner. You lucked out big time, so I'm way better than Santa. Ho, ho, frickin' ho! You, my friend, are getting 3 wishes.
You mean like a genie?
They stole that from me. By the way, after you make your wishes, I'm taking your soul.
What?
You ain't never had a friend like me. Okay, that I may have stolen from Aladdin. Now we're even. Let me show you a few of the things I could do for you. I'll be right back.
It's Post Malone.
Leo!
Look, I'm worried Santa's going to trick me into getting my soul.
I think he's just confused.
We believe you.
No.
Yo, down here! What are you waiting for? Go make a move! Sue me, I'm thirsty.
I tried everything. That kid's incorruptible.
What about doing something out of kindness?
I don't even know what you just said. I mean, I know all the words, but I just never heard them in that order.
You know this man?
I'm his uncle. Beat it.
Who do you think you are talking to me like that? Oh!
That doesn't sound right.
Pardon me, kombucha.
Watch this.
No! Please! Never trust a thought. You just gambled and lost.
Nice to meet you. The pleasure was mine.
Here's what scripture say. James chapter 4 verse 4. You adulterous people, don't you know that friendship with the world means enmity against the Most High? Therefore, anyone who chooses to be a friend of the world becomes an enemy of Yahuwah. In the 10th chapter of Jeremiah, it says, Thus says Yahuwah, learn not the way of the nations, nor be dismayed at the signs of the heavens, because of the nations are dismayed at them, for the customs of the people are vanity. It goes on to say, For one cuts a tree out of the forest, the works of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. The reason that this is mentioned in the Old Testament is because the Israelites were doing the same exact customs that the rest of the nations were doing, but they were punished for them. The Most High did not approve of these customs. He did not approve of them cutting a tree out of the forest and decorating it with silver and gold. Nor would he approve of the rest of these pagan celebrations that the rest of the world partakes in. Now, people will try to make this day seem as if it is about the Messiah, but it has nothing to do with him. The mention of the Messiah's birth is not found in the Bible at all, nor was it told by us to celebrate that day. We are to worship him, but we are not to worship the day that he was born, for he is eternal. He is the Alpha and the Omega, as written in Revelation. And secondly, the word Christmas itself is problematic, as in Latin, Christmas, mass means to be dismissed or to send away, dismissal. Christ or Christos was a word that they used in place of the Messiah. So Christmas is saying dismissal of Christ. But we know in scripture that Christ has not been dismissed from us, as he dwells inside of us, or at least in those that believe in him. First book of John, chapter 4, verse 4 says, You are of Yahuwah, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. The Messiah has not been dismissed away from us, nor has he abandoned us, but he is still with us. These are not my own words or beliefs. This is what scripture says. In Matthew chapter 28 verse 20, it says, Lo, I am with you always, even until the end of the world. Revelation chapter 22 verse 13, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. John chapter 6 verse 47, Verily, verily, I say to you, he that believes in me has everlasting life. Matthew chapter 22, verse 44. Yahuwah said to my Adonai, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. Revelation chapter 16, verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Our God is well alive, and he is the God of the living. He is the one who will hold us accountable for our behavior. Matthew 7, verses 21 to 23. Not everyone that says to me, Adonai, Adonai, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in your name? And in your name have casted out devils, and in your name done many wonderful works? Then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity. So we must ask ourselves, are we living to do the will of the Father, or are we following in our own selfish ways? Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, so that when he is old, he will not depart from it. The truth matters, and this is why I'm making this video. Just because someone is claiming to be a Christian doesn't mean they are going to be saved when it comes to Judgment Day. As Yeshua said, there will be many confessing to be his, but he will turn them away. He will dismiss them because they still practice lawlessness. We have to walk in truth, and we have to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. These laws have not been abandoned, and he has not been dismissed away from us. He still watches over us, and he still expects us to follow in his ways. It is not Santa Claus or St. Nicholas or the devil who is going to be responsible for your soul. It is the Most High who has given it into the hands of his Son, Yeshua the Messiah, that will judge your works. So I hope and pray that you follow in his ways and come out of the sin of rebellion. In Yeshua's name, amen. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed one.